in 2003, like soon after I got my license, um, I got my first car, a little Hyundai Elantra, and it was a piece of crap. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, the front bumper was falling off, one of the fenders was kind of loose. And the thing is, like, back then I wasn't really into cars. Like, back in my high school days, like, I'm surprised I even knew how to drive, to be completely honest. Like, I didn't know anything about, like, changing oil or, I knew how to add gas. That was about it. And, obviously, my dad taught me how to drive a manual transmission when I was about, like, 13 years old. So, I mean, the car had that. The car didn't even have a radio. Like, it's just... Yeah, if you look up a 95 Hyundai Elantra, you'll see what I was driving. But like I said, it was my first car. I was happy. It was actually a gift from my Uncle Willie. He wasn't really my uncle, but like his wife used to help like babysit me back in the day, and so I just called him Uncle Willie. He actually had his own like tow truck business, and he bought and sold cars, and for my first car when I got my license, he kind of gave me that car, so I was like, oh, thanks Uncle Willie. I really appreciate it. So anyways, yeah, like I said, it had no radio. It was falling apart. It drove, and to get me from point A to point B, I was happy. So Charles back in the day, he was living with a friend of his, Anthony, I think, and he lived near another friend of ours named Scott. Now, both these guys, the neighborhood that they were living at was really close to the high school we went to. So, luckily, Scott's parents, they were nice enough to let us, let me, park my car in front of their driveway. So... And Charles and I, we would just meet up at Scott's house, and then we would just walk to school, because it was maybe, like, a half a mile on these, like, it was like a trail, like, that went, like, near a river, I think. But it happened to be, like, right next to, Scott's parents' house. So, and that actually, walked through the woods on the trail, and then, we would end up at the back of the high school, and then we would just... That was our morning trek every day. And so, finally installed a radio in my car, and like most teenage guys, I was driving really fast that morning, and as I'm like coming to Scott's house, I see Charles like coming from like the other street, coming from Anthony's house. And I don't know what hit me, but I was just like, it is time. So, I speed up, like, really fast. And mind you, it was, like, March, so it was, the mornings are kind of warm. It might have actually been April. But, mornings are warm, so I was driving with the windows open. To be completely honest, in New Hampshire, I always drove with the windows down anyways, because it's just the weather's really nice during that time of the year. So... Anyways, I speed up, and Charles gets to the intersection of the street, and mind you, it's like a residential area, rather. So, Charles comes to the intersection, and he sees me coming, and he's like, oh, it's Nelson. And I, like, slam on the brakes, and I see him, and I'm like, I look at him, I'm like, dude, get in! Just get in! And he's like, what? Like, and this is what I love about Charles. He didn't even, like, question it. He just chucked his bag into the passenger side. His bag, like, slammed me in the face, cracked my neck, so I was like, oh, poor kid. And, so, I dump it into first gear, and I just start, like, peeling out. And as I'm doing that, Charles doesn't even open the door. Like... He just jumps through the window, and as I see him do that, I let go of the brake, and the car just, like, takes off, like, still peeling out. He's, like, coming through the window as this happens, and, like, his back just hits the B-pillar, and I just hear a crack, and he's like, "Oh, not again!" Like, that's all I hear coming out of Charles, and I was like, "What?" So I'm gone. I'm probably doing about, like, I don't know how fast I was going, but like Charles like gets in through the passenger side, and he sits, and I'm like going so fast that like the driver's side fender, like, just the air pressure that was hitting it just kind of like caused it to fly off. I hear a guy off in the distance being like, "Ah!" Like, after he hit his leg, he was like, "Ah, my liver!" And he started having like flashbacks of Nam. Thing is, this guy was never a Nam, man. Like, I don't know why he was having flashbacks of Nam. He was like maybe 2-3 years older than us. Yeah, this guy wasn't in Nam. I believe they call that stolen valor. Yeah. He deserved that fender through the leg. He deserved that pain in his liver. But anyways, so Scott's house was like really close by, and I'm like flying through, and I like, spin the car, like I pull the e-brake, and I just like park the car on the other side of the street, and we get out, and that fender didn't really fly off, but I just like to imagine that it did. It makes for a funnier story. But Charles actually jumping through the window, yeah, that totally happened. So, anyways, we get out, and Scott's mom was usually up, like, at this time, like, just making breakfast for, like, Scott, and sometimes us. She's a sweetheart. And, she comes out, and she's like, "Nelson, why are you peeling out in the street? Like, why are you burning tires?" And I was like, "Oh, Cindy, I would never." Mind you, I think she saw me doing this. Like, I think she saw the whole thing going down. I was like, "Cindy, I would never do that. Oh, it breaks my heart that you would accuse me." She's like, "Nelson, no one else would be like peeling out during this time of the hour, like, or this time of the morning. Like, you're the only one crazy enough to do that." Well, off in the distance, I don't know if it's me going into a time machine and going back like a few streets over, or it just happened randomly, but someone else peeled out over there. And right as she was finished saying, like, "I think it was you, Nelson. Like, I'm pretty sure it was you," we hear that burnout off in the distance, and I was like, "Cindy, how could you?" And she's like, "All right, Nelson." She's like, "I'm pretty sure it was you, but I'm gonna let it slide just because someone peeled off in the distance." I was like, "I'm glad you've seen the error of your ways." So, yeah, that was that morning. So, the thing is, nobody really knows what became of that Hyundai Elantra. Some people say that Nelson traded it in for, like, another car at a car dealership. Other people say that it ended up getting, like, Hyundai Genesis turbo engine. Other people say that the car is still burning out in the streets of Nashua, in the residential areas, to this day. Of course, obviously I got rid of the car, but it's what I choose to believe. It's what I hold dear in my heart.